Hey there, it's Seema here. I wanted to tell you a bit about what I was doing in the film that I've put up on my blog. It's not a hive inspection. I've ordered a new brood box, so I'm going to change it over, which I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. The bottom box right now on the hive contains all of the bees and the honey and the nectar and the pollen. And the box on top was my super that had my flow hives in it, which I took out about 2 months ago because they didn't have any honey in them. And I replaced them just with normal frames with foundation, hoping that the bees would pull and draw some honey into them, which they have a bit. So what I'm doing there is the super box is stuck to the bottom, and the reason it's stuck and I'm trying to sort of open it with my tool is because the bees use propolis to sort of stick it together like glue. It keeps them warm and it keeps their hive safe. So that's why you have to sort of use a hive tool to sort of wedge it out. Anyway, so I've taken off the top box, which is the super. And the box that you can see at the front of the film is my new brood box, which I've put together with a mouse guard on it, which you'll see when I put the box down. So what I'm going to do is lift off this bottom brood box, which is super heavy, because it contains, like I said, all the frames, and they're really heavy, full of honey, nectar, brood, and that's where the majority of the colony is in right now. Everyone seemed to be fairly relaxed, the bees today, so that was quite good for me. So the box that you can see on its side, I'm going to put on the bottom of the hive, and you can see there's a metal thing. It looks like a grate. That's the mouse guard, and that's going to stop mice getting in through the hole where the bees normally come in and out. And instead, it's got little holes in it. The bees can actually move in and out through the hive quite easily, so it won't be a problem for them to be able to get in and out, although they won't be moving so much as we get into the winter. But like I mentioned in my previous post, rodents and mice like to go into hives because they're warm over the winter, and they'll have their babies and stay in there and live in there and make it up their house. And rats also eat the honey and actually can eat the bees as well. So that's what I'm doing there, is I'm taking out the frames that were in the old super, and I'm just putting them in the brood box. Some of them are empty and some of them have got honey on them, some of them got bees on them. It's just a bit of extra resource for the bees if they need it. And I'm putting it on the bottom, and I'm going to put the other brood box on top of it, because if they need to draw anything extra, they'll take it from the bottom and bring it up. That frame seemed to have had quite a lot of bees on it, and there's some honey on it. So I was really happy that there is some honey, and they've probably made that honey from the sugar syrup that I was feeding them on and off for about a month. You might notice there are some small frames that look like half the size of the other ones. The only reason I've got those is because I made a mistake when I did an order. I ordered shallow frames and didn't realise that you can buy shallow frames and deep frames. Deep are obviously the ones I should have bought, but I bought shallow. And anyway, rather than not using them and wasting them, I sort of put them in, thinking that the bees, if they drew honeycomb on there, which is what they did on some of them, they would build an extra bit of comb at the bottom to make it all the same level. But we never really got that far. Probably my first season, and therefore didn't get that bit quite right. Anyway, the bottom box is now full, my brood box, and so I'm about to lift up my top brood box, and I'm going to place it on top of the bottom brood box. So there'll be 2 brood boxes and no queen excluder, because I want the queen to be able to move freely between the 2 boxes. Oh, look, it fits quite nicely. That was my woodwork. So I'm quite happy with that, which means that in the spring, when I decide to put my super back on top, I can just put the queen excluder on the top of the 2 brood boxes. Then I'll put my super on, and then I'll be able to fill my super with the flow frames and hopefully get honey. So now I'm just putting on the crown board with there's a hole in it, as you can see. And in December I will lay some fondant on there to feed them and help them through the winter. So that's where I'm just trying to not squash any bees right now as I put the crown board on top of the brood box. That's all, that's going on nicely. And then I've got the roof to go on, and that will just sit on again. I don't want to squash any bees, so you've got to be a bit gentle and slow. There you go. There you go. So I'm really happy with that. I feel like I've done a good job. It's got 2 brood boxes, the mouse guards on the front, and everything is set now to keep it still until I need to go in December. And I'm just going to leave the old super there just so there's some bees inside it, just so they can find their ways back home. And that's it from me. See you soon.